official. We are here for episode 9 of the Practical AI Show. I'm your host, Chris, with your the queen, the producer. What should we call you today?
I don't know. Whatever you want to call me.
All right, that's Olga. She's going to tell you what it's all about this week. Let's go.
Yes, welcome. This is your place to be for your weekly dose of practical AI. This is a place for 1 hour. You can learn all the latest and the greatest and not so greatest things that happen in practical AI over the last 7 days. And I always joke that the best case scenario, you'll learn something helpful and useful that you can build something for yourself with AI. And the worst case scenario will be the most interesting person at some dinner party knowing all the latest and the greatest in practical AI world. So on this note,
hold on, before we get started, I gotta show the stream my Willy Cat shirt.
Okay.
Very nice, right?
Thank you for
Don't miss that. Don't sleep on the shirt.
Thanks for showing your guns too. Anyway, so today we've got a bunch of stuff going on, and I actually counted. I went over 37 AI newsletters for the last 7 days. So you don't have to read all 37 newsletters and watch all kinds of shows. It's all here for you. So we're gonna kick off today with an episode about one of the biggest savings that I've seen in practical AI that have been implemented on a very large scale. So the company is called Moody, which I've never heard of them before this. And apparently who they are is they are one of the big 3 global credit rating agencies. I did not know that. They've got about 16,000 employees, and they're operating in 140 countries, 1.6 billion quarterly revenue. So they're not a small kind of player, but they're up there. And they reported that they implemented a workflow where they built a bunch of AI agents that helped them save, go from 40 hours spent on a memo credit report that they used to spend down to just 2 minutes. So what do you think about all this?
So much about this is shocking to me. First of all, Moody's is huge. They're, a credit reporting agency. So like if you get a credit score, one of the 3 bureaus reports on that. And then there's another layer for business credit where they do a whole lot of processing. I think these reports are specific to business. I'm not 100% sure, but based on the way they describe it, it sounds like the stuff they would do to, assign a rating to a business for credit worthiness, loan worthiness. And the amount of manpower and processing they were doing for a single report is mind-blowing. 40 hours. Let's go through some of the stuff they were doing. They map business subsidiaries and ownership of various properties. So like if one entity owns this thing, they're trying to establish your credit worthiness based on all the other stuff you own in your portfolio. So it's not just on one venture. Certainly if you're a big time and you want to get a loan, but you have a new thing that's not established, you would want your other stuff to kind of pull weight in a situation like this. So that's kind of that. Then there's structured, you have filings, business filings, and there's some data that you get from that, some standard data you would need to extract from those reports. You have industry data. So like, this is now somebody in commercial real estate, and there's industry benchmarks for that they kind of compare to establish, what is your credit worthiness within this arena. And then there's some risk scoring and proprietary stuff that they would do. They crunch your numbers based on their proprietary stuff also, which kind of makes each agency unique. And so it was about 40 hours of manpower per report. And it doesn't mean it took 40 hours to do it. Like you wouldn't order it and then you get it 5 business days later. You might get it in 3 business days, but they're deploying different people on these different tasks to get these credit things. That's why it takes a while to get that. And using AI, they were able to take out every part of that process because it's all just a procedural thing. I've got to look at some reports. I got to get data from those reports. I've got to compare this to this. I've got to use benchmarks. We have our proprietary thing. Like, this is what we look at. It's just applying the formula, but they've had people applying the formula until recently, which is to me, like, I always assumed these credit agencies were strictly algorithm driven.
Nope.
To discover that was not the case is shocking to me. And they're huge, like $1.6 billion in quarterly revenue. That's insane.
Right. So
all on manpower. Like,
so you kind of walked through like why it took 40 hours, right? So data gathering, entity mapping, financial normalization, peer analysis, risk drafting, review loops. As you say, super boring business, right? Somebody had to do this day in, day out. And then after they've implemented these agents, now AI agents pull data, map structures, run benchmarks, draft narrative. Then analysts spend about 30 minutes validating and interpreting the output. 30 minutes, so 2 minutes for AI to do the work. And then the analyst spends about 30 minutes validating and interpreting the output. And then the reports move from week-long bottlenecks to near instant delivery. So to me, I read this and I go, okay, I want to do the math, right? Clearly, I don't know exactly like their business. I could only do so much, but I did the back of the napkin math right quick. Even if they do like 50,000 memos a year for a company this size, and pre-AI cost was about 40 hours, and let's say it's $100 an hour that that it costs them to do this, which is very reasonable. That's like 4,000 per report, and that's 200 million a year that they would spend doing these reports. And now with post AI, with 30-minute review, we're down to $50. That's 2.5 million. We went from 200 million to 2.5 million. That's like 197,000 million a year savings that they can add to their bottom line, to the shareholders, to invest in something else.
98% savings.
But to me, the question is, I mean, that's hundreds of millions in annual savings, margin expansion. Obviously, investors are happy. Maybe new product lines, right? Real-time memos, API dashboards, and they've got a stronger competitive moat versus kind of some of the other dinosaurs that may not be doing all this stuff. So all of that is great, but as somebody who runs a recruiting company, the question is, what happens to all those people now? Like, you just cut so much time.
Well, I have a pushback question that's sort of going to emerge as the theme of today's show. Were those legitimate jobs? If you're just running a procedure, is that legitimate?
I don't know. That's the question. What is the job?
I look at that, like, to me, that looks like hell. I can't believe people wake up, go to work, and implement procedures all day, and then go home and like act like what are you doing? What do you do? Where's the spark of anything? You're running a freaking program. A program should run itself. Like, I don't know. I just, that to me, it's a black pill. Like, oh my God, I can't believe we've been living like this.
Well, and they say that, it's a task replacement, not job replacement. People still decide AI just handles the grunt work. Yes. But again, is everybody like, I want to know in a couple months, are the layoffs coming? Right? Or are they going to completely expand the business with all those people that have done this work and they're going to do something else with them? Like, to me, this is a very big example of like, how is AI changing the landscape in the enterprise level, in the big company that is literally, is AI taking the jobs? Or are those people now augmented with AI and they're going to do something else? I don't know.
Well, I mean, clearly you need like the overseers, the sanity checkers. Right. The sanity checkers have to be well-versed in what they're doing in the field to know that, hey, this is valid. Hey, this is not valid. But so I look at this and I think about it in the following way. If they were spending that much manpower to generate reports, and now they don't have to do that. Now they don't need any of that manpower. Pretty much all of it's gone. 98% reduction overnight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they were generating reports on demand for we'll say for businesses in this case. Business creditworthiness. Well, what's stopping them now under this new landscape from just generating reports for everybody all the time? Like
Yeah.
every business having like a scoreboard, you just access information. They've run it, every month. Here's the new business credit worthiness scoreboard, and you just pull from that data. If that data set exists and is constantly updated, well, then the things that they can do in their business are different. There's new opportunities that emerge from that. Like, I don't know what they are. I'm not well versed enough to sit here and like run through a few of them, but I assume that landscape for them looks a lot different. They're not running reports. Their business was grunt work. Well, now the grunt work's over. Now you have access to more data. More data usually means better decision making and more possibilities. So maybe these businesses are going to transform. I think we probably don't have a good sense of how many businesses we interface with where mostly what's happening is grunt work, procedural grunt work. And what benefits could we be getting or new services could we be getting if that grunt work is now gone? I don't think it means the jobs are gone. I think it means
Well, we'll see about
we
that.
get
But yeah.
more value than just stupid stuff that kind of is just assumed at this point.
Well, and then, this could be, again, like, I think this is the first time I'm seeing the company, because, we talked about a couple of episodes ago how AI implementation with big companies is usually a fail. And clearly in this case, whoever did this, I would love to interview that person. How did they convince them all? How did they do all of this? Because again, it's not just one agent running this. This is a very specific thing. They had an agent designed for every step of the process, so they could just tie them together as an orchestrator and make sure that the things were working accordingly. So it's not just one little push of the button and it works. There's a bunch of agents running on the background kind of making this happen.
I like that point. I want the audience to kind of key in on this. Workflows are different agents strung together to complete a series of processes. And we go back to a larger theme that we've been exploring for weeks. It's specificity. Each agent has a specific job. A lot of specific jobs tied together in sequence is a workflow. So
and again,
it's going
to be the boring businesses that will be super ready for this, because like, how do you not get excited that you just saved a couple $100 million? Like, most people are like, what? That sounds almost ridiculous. And I even didn't even put it in the name of the show because I didn't want to be like, I'm baiting you, but like, this is the reality of what's happening. And so I'm very curious, like, what's going to be next? Is it going to be hospitals? Is it going to be law? Is it going to be insurance?
Those are all pretty boring to me.
Maybe government. I mean, that would be great if a girl can dream, right?
Yeah. Keep dreaming.
And so anyway, I thought that was very fascinating. They're probably not going to get as much, glory and celebration for this because it's boring and not sexy. It's not, a new thing, a shiny thing, but hey, kudos to them. And whoever is listening to this and whoever has any background in some boring business operation, I would pay attention to this and I would try to figure out how can you innovate in the boring business using this sort of framework.
So we get the story about like, okay, they got rid of all this crappy grunt work. That's stage one. I want to see some stage two. Here's how my business transformed when I got rid of all that crappy grunt work. I was able to do this thing that's unexpected. Like, that's the next story I really want to see. Like,
well,
what does that look like?
We're going to keep an eye on them, and maybe I'll figure out who did this. Maybe we can talk to that person. That'll be fun. Though that's going to be the interesting kind of new AI driven services, right? Like coming in and helping companies set this up. And I guess they really trust it. So that made me go, well, there's another guy who kind of posted how he uses AI in his business. And this example also kind of both of them inspired me to look, how much time am I saving right now by using agents on my team? Because we do use agents for sourcing, for interviewing, for, I talked about this before. And I found out it was like 35 hours a week. And my team, we have 2 recruiters right now. So basically that's another person, 35 hours, that's like another person that I don't have to pay for because I took that work away from my 2 recruiters. So I have 3 recruiters for the price of 2 recruiters, if that makes sense. So I am saving some money every week doing that. And I was like, that feels great. Anyway, I thought that was interesting to kind of think about it. Yes, AI can make you money, but I think the fun part first will be how can we save money first to create that space so we can do other work. What boring
Love it.
stuff can you do? What boring things right now you can think of that you can build agents for that they will just run
I
on?
can't think of any. I don't do anything boring.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, any other takeaways from this?
No, I just just the eye on that ball. Like replacing these anything procedural is a candidate. Like if you're just stepping in and fulfilling a process, it's not there's nothing special about the new information coming in or it's in this field or that field. It's still a process. You're still applying it. Like we got to stop pretending that's a job. It's not a job. It's a task for AI. It must be
Yeah,
automated.
if I were just doing tasks in my job, I would be very worried right now. I would try to figure out how to upskill myself immediately to use AI.
If only
Anyway,
there was a tool to help with that.
yeah. Anyway. Haha. All right, moving on. Next segment of the show is I could not miss this. And this is actually, it comes from a very boring paper that ChatGPT issued, I guess. There was this, they did the research where they analyzed how do people use AI right now, well, especially ChatGPT. And the segment that's next one, it's called ChatGPT in the Wild, what the data actually shows about real use. And so what I wanted to, can we share the graph?
I'll pull it up here. It's kind of wonky. I'll have to point it out.
Anyway,
We'll do
so
this.
this economic impact of ChatGPT was done based on 1.1 million conversations that were analyzed, and which they claim it was done with utmost whatever confidentiality or whatever the word is. So they just analyzing the content of the conversations, which makes me think they can see everything anyway. So whatever you talk about, just keep that in mind. So OpenAI's internal usage study and companion economics paper offer one of the clearest views to date on how people actually use ChatGPT at massive scale. The picture they paint is practical, not flashy. People are using AI to refine, ask, clarify, and improve, not to fully automate. So the most valuable AI tools won't replace users, they'll support them, quietly improving thinking, writing, and decision making. So what does the data show us? That asking is definitely outweighing the doing right now. Almost 52% of all messages is asking for guidance, for feedback, for clarity. Doing is about 35%. And asking kind of is growing faster and rated more useful. So what do you think about that first point about that asking is greater than doing right now?
So I'm not surprised because to me, there's been a very clear emergence in using AI where to me it's augmented search. It's augmented search. Augmented search means like we used to ask for like keywords and specific things. Now we're asking questions and even we're looking to receive a greater context around questions we ask, which is very much an AI thing. So I think that checks out. Like asking, I want to learn more about this. What can you tell me about this? It's painting a larger picture. So that's the asking thing. The doing thing being 34.6%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that's kind of high. I'm surprised. I use AI. I'm about 60-40 doing versus asking. My asking stuff is like little stuff. Like I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It's not serious for me. It's not a workflow thing. The doing stuff for me is actually workflow and implementation. But when I stopped to think about this, I was like, well, my situation is kind of opposite. I do something that has a very clear application for AI. Like AI can do certain things for me. I'm trying to solve some coding problem with tiny MCE editor. It can spit me back some potential solutions and I can wedge those in and try to solve the problem. But if you work in an office job and you send emails, like the best thing it can do for you is like maybe prepare a presentation or some slides or something or an email. How big a chunk of that is that of what you do? Like probably not that huge a chunk. So, I think the asking part comes in as like research. you're doing research for topics, you know, that type of activity.
Yeah.
So I think it checks out. And then we're going to find out later that most of the users are under age 26. Well, people under age 26 are doing a lot of research and asking for like papers in college, things like that. So,
well, and that just shows the adoption is growing, obviously, in that age group the most, which makes sense.
yeah, over half under age 26. Like
That's
that's
insane.
a massive
And so
trend.
the next one that was interesting is that editing was greater than generating. So under 11% of messages are editing existing texts, which is number one use within writing. So it's sort of like, and then work-related writing is 42% of work usage. So so people are editing whatever they are writing, I guess, versus actually generating something new. I thought that was interesting.
That is fascinating. And the editing, actually, I kind of regarded this as a higher level function of AI. Like I feel like power users do this. So coming in at 10.6%, that feels high. That I'm like, wow, they're pretty good users, you know.
I mean,
So the big thing with like the rundown AI, that email list we talked about last week, they do message refinement. They'll have like 3 bullet points and they'll say, how can we make these more concise? How can we make these pop more? You know, they're trying to make them more exciting.
Yeah.
Which, you know, pro thing. Anyway, you were going to say.
Yeah. And so the next thing I was thinking was like I don't even write my things anymore. I sort of like I just voice the things I want to write in AI, and then I ask it to edit it, and then I edit whatever it edits. So I don't even like, I know you're an amazing writer, you're an amazing copywriter. I'm not. And so to me, I just like to dump my thoughts and then let AI sort of generate whatever it is. So I thought that was interesting that the editing, I trust the editing because it uses my voice and all that stuff. So and especially for non-native speakers like me who makes mistakes grammatically all the time, it's very helpful to kind of look more polished.
Makes sense. I was thinking about the writing, and I was like, you know, like I'll write an email. I want it to be my voice. Like I actually kind of like it. Like it's just a short email. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world if I have to write the email. Okay.
Yeah.
So like I'm cool with that. I want that to be me. But so I was thinking about like what's work related writing. If I had to like submit reports, or you're doing something for real estate and you've got to like write these flyers or something, like that's not special. There's nothing like, you know, like you don't have to be too emotionally tied to that content. You may as well have AI generate the framework at a minimum, or at least use it for refinement. Like that makes a lot of sense. 2/3 of the writing stuff is revision, not drafting.
Yep.
So that, you know, to me, that's like aimed correctly. That feels right.
So, and then 28% of all use is tutoring, how to help, and health self-care. So that's context-rich, trust-heavy domains where AI is already embedded. So I thought that was interesting in terms of how people are using it. Tutoring and
That's
how
only
to
going to
help.
grow.
Yeah. Can you pull up again the thing? Because I want to talk about coding there.
What that
The
chart?
graph. Yeah.
That chart's kind of busy.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, at a global scale, so oh yeah, you can't really, it's hard to see.
I mean, this is as large as I can make it.
But
I can zoom in on a specific part if you
but
want.
you can see the green column, and there's going to be a link to this report. It's like 28 pages, and I actually found it interesting to read it. But how did you do this? So 28% is practical guidance, which we kind of talked about that, tutoring and teaching and how to advise. And then can you scroll up a little bit to the other side? Yeah. And then computer programming, you see here, is 4.2%. So I actually was shocked to see how little coding is that AI is being used for. What do you think about that stat?
Well, we're going to do a little segment later that I really want to deep dive on this. But so coding happens on at least 2 fronts. There's 2 ways to look at this. One way is system development, system architecture, like a whole holistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is specific problem solving. If you work in like Google on a team or something like this at a big company, you're probably tasked with the latter. You're doing specific problem solving. Hey, we need this algorithm to do this. That type of programming is a perfect candidate for AI enhancement. I need to solve this problem within this context.
Okay.
The architectural system design thing is still trash with AI. Why is that? So why is that? Because it's procedural too, if you think about it. Like if you really scope this thing out, everything's sort of procedural. You're following some process. The problem with system design is that you're really, if you're really designing a new system and there's already existing context, you're trying to solve a bunch of different problems at one time. Like we're trying to improve this in many different ways. And it could be like 15 different minor initiatives that you would like to improve upon. That's really hard to even get a grasp on yourself, let alone communicate to an AI and have it do something holistic with all of that input. So I think it's a complex, difficult task. So that is not where AI excels. AI excels with specificity. And so the computer programming, the only application for that makes any sense at all, and where it does excel is in solving specific, very specific problems, within a larger framework. So, and we'll see this again later in the show in a pretty interesting way.
So when I look at something like that, I'm like, okay, what is what can we do with this information, right? So for developers and agencies who are watching us, what does it mean for them, right? So how are they using that? So it's kind of like, okay, so they're building for iteration and improvement, not full automation. So I think automation, this is the next step, and this is probably what Page Motor also will come in later, right? Is like you can iterate, you can create, but like there's next step of actually publishing or taking it somewhere where you can actually work with that.
Yeah. What are you going to do with what AI gives you?
Exactly.
Where do you stick this?
So this is just the starting point. But what is interesting to me is that, for content creators, like they use AI to refine drafts, test tones. They focus on content that answers. So like, I think for content standpoint, like this is, it saves a lot of time, right? And like, kind of like those people who find shortcuts, they're going to be saving a ton of like, you will be like, how are they doing that? And you'll be like, oh, they're just figured out how to use this, in a smart way. And
one more note.
One
more note. People doing product inquiries, like finding out what to purchase.
Yeah.
Only 2.1%.
That actually is very, I mean, it's I think it's only going to climb. What do you think?
Oh, it's going to climb, but I mean, that's a pretty vanishingly small number.
Well, let's see what happens. I hope they do this every year so we can see what's going on.
I'm trying to paint a picture there. And that is people looking for specific information, self-enrichment. I'm curious about this. People are looking for a lot of writing related stuff. We do a lot of writing. Communication is sort of a core business thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's tutoring, teaching, how-to advice, beauty, healthcare kind of stuff. It's like, how do I take care of this for me? So there's a lot of to me, this suggests or indicates a desire to do it yourself in as many arenas as possible.
Yeah.
There's a much greater desire based on this information to solve a problem yourself than there is to buy a product. Which feels like, I don't know. I just feel like I grew up in the Walmart era where we just buy crap all the time, commercials for products on TV all the time, buy a pill for this, fix this with a pill, go do this for that. And, are we now entering a new era where people want to solve more problems themselves, do more things for themselves?
I mean,
are we not, there's a pill for that? Are we getting away from this?
It's exciting, but at the same time, like, we talked about AI is your yes man. Like, that's going to be interesting to see and they always say, we're not a lawyer, we're not this, we're not that. But like, if this is becoming a human's best friend, oof, I have a lot of questions and concerns about that.
One last funny point. People are using AI for greetings and chit chat. Just mindless stuff with AI.
Gosh. I guess it's
they're looking for products.
Right.
To me, that's crazy.
When I first saw this whatever graph you want to call it, a picture, it was overwhelming. But then as I started looking into that, I was like, this is really interesting stuff that they actually were able to, to separate and figure out. And I also there's a can you scroll down the actual document? There's a chart there by male and female use, and they use the names kind of scroll down all the way. They use the names to kind of see the guess if that was a female or a male
Is this it, or are we going?
user. No, keep going. And I thought it was interesting to see how men and women, they use it differently. Keep going. I'll tell you where. Go. Keep going. Yep. The red and blue. So look at that. So males are typically using it for technical help. And then females mostly are using it for writing. So I thought that was fascinating to see kind of where the females mostly using it compared to males.
This perfectly maps. I wish I had known about this beforehand. I would have gotten the little chart. But if you look at majors in college, so preference by women versus male preference, it looks exactly.
I did not want to get into this discussion right now.
It looks exactly like this.
But I wanted to point this out because it is in the study and it is in the research. So I thought that was fascinating. So are men just not using it for writing as much as women?
They're probably more problem-solving focused, and I don't think too many men think that writing solves problems.
Okay, all right. We'll agree to disagree. So let's talk about the young people here, right? So like, what do you think about the rise in usage among under 26s? How does this reshape for like the whole world as we know it, right? Because we're still trying to figure out what it would look like, and then we have this 20-something coming in using AI. They don't know all we know. So what do you think that will mean, like for anything and everything?
It's an expectation framework. If this is their expectation of how they're going to interface with reality, how they're going to navigate things, then like that's going to win whether you're on board or not. So like we're at over 50% under age 26. Like this is so very clearly the future that if you're not fluent in this, you're toast. You're completely toast. Like you will not be able to bridge the gap to that generation unless you are fluent in these topics. So, I mean, that's at a minimum. And then the second thing is how do we leverage this to solve problems in a way that matters for us? It's one thing to like type into a prompt and receive some information. It is quite another to take that information and turn into useful action.
Right.
We need software to help us do this. We need frameworks to help us do this. I mean, this might be going too far, but I would like to see like, so I got my blood work done. I fed it through one of these, LLMs. It tells me, okay, this looks like your thing. I need to be able to then, if I want to go get supplements or medication based on what this is, like I would like to be able to do that without having to go pay a doctor $275 and waste a bunch of time on procedural crap. I'm sorry, doctors want to be all high and mighty about their roles like it's some sacred thing. The reality is we're going through a procedural deal. I have to go to this office visit because this is the standard. I have to talk to this doctor who can just look at this blood work and tell me the same thing the AI told me, if he's even wise enough to do that. And then get the prescription because he's the gatekeeper. It was all procedural. There was nothing like spark of human ingenuity about this process at all. Like I need that kind of efficiency levied out to my daily life because it's garbage that we get put through these cattle mills of procedural nonsense. It's got to go.
So my biggest takeaway from this piece, and again, I highly recommend you guys read this report. It's filled with a lot of interesting nuggets. But basically, what we're seeing, the habits that are forming with this new technology that's out there, right? The habits there is that humans are seeking AI to support them, right? In kind of, it helps them think, it helps them write, it helps them plan, improve things, especially in workflows. And so like, how do we build products that help humans do more of that already was supporting them in those habits that they're already forming by using AI? And like you said, is there an app where you can feed your blood report and then it recommends your whatever vitamins? I don't know. But things like that like, what's the next step once they have their information? I think that's going to be a very
AI is pro at gathering information, synthesizing information, creating a report, so to speak. And the question is, what do you do when you have that?
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Any other takeaways before I move on?
Nope. Let's roll.
All right. Next segment. It is called AEO versus GEO, and kind of what do we need to understand with that. So when I read, it comes from Dharmesh. Did you do the image for Dharmesh yet?
I didn't do the image. We got to have that little
gotta get the
scampering
image for
cartoon
Dharmesh.
Dharmesh across the screen now.
Right. Anyway, so Dharmesh segment, I love his newsletters. So he kind of caught my attention with this AEO concept this week. And he said, I was like, okay, what is AEO? And he's basically saying, if you're not in AI's answer, you might as well not exist. So clearly it has to do with the answers that ChatGPT was showing you. But I was like, maybe he's just calling AEO what we're calling GEO. So I was like, maybe that's just, he was like, I am not calling this GEO. I am calling this AEO. Like, I'm just going to do this. And of course, I asked AI, what's the difference between AEO and GEO? And there's a difference. So I was like, oh gosh, we just had the segment last week about GEO. And now we got to bring you one more acronym.
A new acronym has entered the chat.
AEO, and I think this is what happens when things are moving very fast.
Well,
so
we could say GEO, but we can't say AEO.
AEO, it's very, I know it's really hard to say. Like it's all the vowels over there. So AEO is an answer engine optimization. Okay, so what is that? So it's not just SEO with a new name, but it's basic. So he talks about that SEO traffic is down 20 to 40% across industries.
Okay. My AI sensor went off. Verification needed. We just had a guy on a video 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, saying that that overall search volume was up slightly.
Where?
But that AI as a share was up. So I don't know if that's true.
Well, anyway, I ran it through. He looked like he was pretty on. AI generated answers. So like users shift from search to AI generated answers, which we already saw that in the survey. ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity don't give 10 blue links. They give one answer. And if your brand isn't in that answer, you get zero visibility. So to me, I'm like, how is this different from GEO? What do you think?
Well, so AIs give you an answer. People want an answer. We ask a question, we want an answer. We don't want like, oh, well, here's 10 things you might be interested in that hopefully solve your problem. Check them out. That's not good enough. We want like a specific answer. And the trend is that these LLMs will provide citations in the answer. The goal of AEO is to be the primary citation. The implications of that are as follows. The AIs want certainty, a yes or no. There's a term for this. They call it a binary outcome. They want a binary outcome. They want to be able to say yes or no, true or false, pass or fail. And so that implies that we should structure our content in a way to provide a yes or no answer to a specific question. If we do that, then the likelihood of an AI giving that answer is going to be higher. And if you are the one citation for a particular query, then that is a successful case of AEO. You have optimized your content for that particular answer. Now, that has a whole slew of implications, because if we take the old school SEO strategy and try to like get to the AEO strategy, what we're going to find is our pages try to do too much. Our existing pages are going to try to do too much. So then you're going to have these crazy cases of like, Kinsta, the web host, which ranks for a lot of WordPress topics, taking all these rich pages that they have and trying to like make that work for a bunch of queries. I think they'll find that that doesn't work as well for a bunch of queries as a different new site that has each section broken down into one specific question and answer. Very specific. The problem with the Kinsta style page is that it's answering 8 questions. The AI has been asked a single question, and now it says, oh, this looks pretty good, but there's all this other crap on this page. But this other result, strictly about this. Strictly about this. So to me, this suggests, and this is just a natural progression of, if we say everything is favoring specificity, what happens in the future, that you don't even have big pieces of content answering a whole bunch of stuff through this large process. Each step of the process is now broken down into its own web page, into its own micro brand, into its own question and answer.
Yeah.
And then a process then becomes a string of these question and answers put together in some logical sequence.
Well, and this is already happening right now, right? And so literally like people, like we saw people are asking for recommendations in ChatGPT. And so this is already, so for those who are like riding this wave, so basically the way I understand this, and you correct me since you're the brain here, but basically answer engine optimization is part of the generative engine optimization. So by doing kind of all the things we talk about for GEO, you are optimizing for the AEO, right? But if
Yes.
you're only optimizing for AEO and not GEO, then you're missing some things on the table because you may be missing the machine to machine talk. Is that right?
Yeah. So there is another layer there. So AEO is kind of a immediate gratification, and GEO is more of a long-term play for informational health.
Okay.
I think what we'll find as this landscape progresses is that questions, there's multiple types of questions. There's questions that get hot and then die away. That's not particularly useful. If you're optimized for those, you had your moment and your moment's gone. It's like having a tweet that goes viral. Oh, okay. Now you got to do another one or else you got no audience. It's sort of like that. Whereas Geo is, wow, this person keeps coming up on this topic. I see there's something new about computer science and I see personified every time. He must be tightly associated with this. So one is like brand association, Geo, and the other is like going viral, AEO. Obviously, someone with a really strong brand association is going to have more viral moments within a particular area of content.
Right.
So, it's the viral social media post versus the established brand in that particular niche.
Well, I mean, so what do you do with this information, right? So I went in and I kind of looked at, sales recruiting companies, and, my company is small and tiny, didn't even come up. A bunch of competitors came up and I was like, oh my God, how can I now, knowing what I know, how can I start engineering it so it does come up and people are looking for what we offer in terms of services? So I will be playing with AI on trying to figure out, I want AI to teach me how to do this because I don't want to be moving away further and further every month, where LLMs are recommending my competitors and I'm losing that traffic. So now I want to figure out how to do that, and not lose on that.
Yeah. I have a
thing.
framework in mind for how you could get AI to kind of pull this off for you.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
How?
Oh, yeah. All right. So the first thing you would do is ask the AI, like, what are the 10 most common questions in this field, or like related to exactly this, to sales recruiting, for example.
Okay.
And then it gives you the 10 most asked questions. You would then create content around that, but with the goal of chunking it out into the most specific Q&A type formats possible.
Okay.
So then you create pages for each of those Q&A things, and those pages would include something called FAQ, schema markup. So it's basically tells the machine Q&A, here's the question, here's the most reliable answer. So it would be enhanced by that, each of these little chunks. And then what you want to do, I'm sure that somehow some of the queries related to sales recruiting involve like 3 of those things, 3 or 4 of those items. And then you would create another page that walks you through stepwise and links to those smaller pages. So if you're going to do this, you're going to need to do this, then you're going to need to do this, this, and this. And then so you have these meta pages. So you got your core pages about the Q&As. Then you got these meta pages that piece together processes for you or lead somebody through a little sequence that they're definitely going to encounter if they're in this landscape. So you create all those pages like that, and then you've got a real nice geo footprint that is optimized for AEO placement.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely gonna.
If you're gonna roll out content at all, that's pretty much the playbook for the future.
Right. I'm definitely gonna. I want to ride the wave, and I was wondering. I was like, I guess you can do this with anything, right? Like, whatever business you have, you can literally go and see if you come up, and if you don't come up, you got to reverse engineer on how do you start showing up, because I guarantee you're going to be way ahead of a lot of other companies that are not thinking about that.
Even if you
Yes.
do show up now, I'd say it's even more important. Like if you want to be there in the future, you got to start doing this. And
Right.
this works for any business. Every business has uptake questions. Some businesses have like multiple facets. Like I have this kind of customer, but I also have this kind of customer. There's a little bit different uptake process for them. You would need this kind of chunked data for all of them.
It's almost like AI is becoming a new homepage, right? So like that's how people find out about you. Like I give this example of our school where our kid goes to, and how the director said a lot of, some people are coming through the AI search now. So the first time they learn about the school is an AI search, and I'm like, how does AI decide how to present information about you? Right. And like, what does it tell you? Because it's not your homepage. It's just the answer that AI has that's now building curiosity or not to go and actually take you to your homepage.
Well, I love that you brought that up. The AI is the homepage, because there's been an evolution on internet that I'm not sure everybody's keenly aware of. But like in 1995, yahoo.com was the homepage of the internet.
Wow.
Then it was search bars. Search bars. So what does homepage of the internet mean? Homepage of the internet means the primary way that you discover the internet. You go through this portal and you discover the internet from there. It was yahoo.com. Then it was search bars. Then it was blogs. You would end up on blogs through search, but then they'd have all this stuff on the sidebar, and it's like these offshoots from this thing that you're already interested in. It's a way to explore particular topical areas or people who are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Similar people. That naturally led into social media, where that became the primary means of exploration on the internet. So like that's really been the dominant modality. And now AI is a more personalized way to do it, where you can just ask questions. It's like your own butler for the internet. So that is the next evolution. That is now the homepage of internet. That is your primary means of discovering what is out there for you. So that is clearly, the homepage of the future, taking over from social media feeds.
Thank you for that. His brief history of
History of the internet. There it is.
You are just full of surprises. I love it. Well, what do you think will happen to the competitors that are not coming up on LLMs? Like, how are they going to stand out? I mean, like, if my competitors stand out and I'm not, like, what do you do?
Whatever you saw now is a vestige of the past.
Okay.
As soon as a lot of people have started building for the future, that landscape is going to start to shift over. I promise.
All right. Well, basically, don't wait until your Google traffic halves. Start optimizing for that now.
Here's an interesting shift. This will come up later too. And Dharmesh talks about this. We've been writing for humans. We've been producing content for humans. Now we're producing content for AIs. And a big question that kind of has gone unanswered is, well, what do we do differently if that's the case? This chunking, process chunking, procedure chunking, making it hyper-specific Q&A. That is a specific shift that wouldn't have made sense for humans. Humans usually want something put into a larger context to make sense. The AIs actually need it broken apart into its constituents.
It will trip if it's too much. It's gonna
it'll trip, but it wants ultimate confidence. It wants to look at something and say, yes, this is yes or no. This is true or false. And so because of that binary nature of processing data, this chunking that we would not have done in the past because it would have been too hyper specific for humans is now the answer for the machines.
So to sum this up, AEO is your new acronym of the day, and it's a subset from the GEO based on kind of what I understand from AI and what we talked about here. That so go out there and search your business on ChatGPT or whatever and see what happens. And
so after the show, we'll be taking bets on the next letter that will be placed in front of EO.
We just go through the alphabet,
possibilities remaining. Yeah, place your bets now.
That'll be fun. But I love it. I mean, I respect Dharmesh, and I pay attention to what he says because
no, it's a really interesting distinction, and it's one that needs to be made.
And I think it's more practical than like GEO is this bigger picture that feels overwhelming. AEO is a little bit more like I can actually do something with this right now. But would
also suggest like what is the consequence of search in the future? It's showing up in that answer. It's being cited.
That's your homepage now.
For this.
Yep, we're just putting all of our eggs in AI basket. Anyway, next segment is Google search gets a Gemini brain. So this is an interesting development this week, and this is kind of the news topic. The future of search isn't just typing anymore; it's showing and asking. So Google Search Live uses AI to interpret what your camera sees, plus voice prompts for real-time answers. So what happened? Google Lens and Gemini now processes live camera feeds and answers contextually. Use cases range from identifying tools to assisting with electronics setups. That's going to be great for me. This is a real-world implementation of multimodal AI, voice, vision, real-time processing. And it's the leap towards situational and hands-free AI. So I literally now can, I guess, show the new weed that we just got and ask it to how to set it up if
Yep.
you're not home.
Yep. Let me paint a picture here. Here's what this is. This is you going out to your car. You got a problem with your tire. And you can see that there's something wrong. So you pull up the camera, you're showing Google, hey, and you're talking, hey, this thing clearly not right. It sounds and feels terrible in the car. I had to stop the car. Can you tell me what is wrong with this and what I need to do to fix it? So you are showing. It's like you show. You don't really know how to describe this thing necessarily. You're not sure what's happening, but you could show an expert. Any expert's going to know what's wrong. That's what this is. You're able to show something that you don't really understand fully and get answers for how to address this problem. We saw earlier that a lot of AI usage is people trying to solve their own problems. This is a massive step forward in being able to explain the problem or show the problem and hopefully get some sort of resolution.
Interesting. So it could, I mean, what do you think is the lowest hanging fruit for this?
Fixing things. So I whine about this all the time. I hate non-digital stuff because it's cumbersome and crappy and it breaks. And like you put a hole in your wall, that hole ain't just going to disappear. You got a hole in your wall. You ever want to fix that? You got to spackle and do all this crap and have paint. It sucks. So fixing any real world thing is a cumbersome mess that requires specialized knowledge. It's not special. If you don't know it though, you can't solve the problem. This type of thing is great. You can say, here's the hole in my wall. Here's the paint. And they say, all right, gang, it's probably these colors. It's you get these at Bear Paints. These are sold at Lowe's. You need to go there. You get your spackle while you're there and this brush. And here's the process. And you get a link to the thing. That sounds pretty great to me. Doesn't make these problems any easier to deal with necessarily. Like you still got to deal with physical crap. I can't use the delete key. But at least I got specific instruction on how to do this thing. So anything real world that's not digital, this voice and video.
So potential company idea in here would be there's a company called like Husband for Hire or something where the man will come and like fix things for you. Now it's like a AI husband for hire. Like it will come, you just point whatever you need to fix and it'll tell you how to fix this so you can do it yourself.
Yep, possibly. There's another facet to this that didn't get mentioned, but I thought of it immediately. And that's in athletics. Video coaching has been a big deal last 15 years or so. So you would show a golf instructor your swing, and then the golf instructor, they'll do online lessons. They'll say, well, this is the stuff that's going on. This is what you need to fix.
That's a good idea.
This AI enhancement could actually show you a lot more specific details about your golf swing, for example. Say, well, here's exactly what's going on. Here's where you're leaking power. Here's what you need to do to fix it. So the potential for physical instruction is also quite high. And you can imagine all these parents who would be interested in this for their children who are competing.
Well,
it's going to be huge.
And I like that it's tapping into Google search. So obviously Google has a ton of information there and a ton of things to work with. And it looks like ChatGPT has this niche. Google has this niche. Grok has this niche. So they're all kind of having their own little things that they're focused on. So this is the news of the week for you. So take it as you want. But any other takeaways before we move on?
I have some thoughts here. So we saw from the graphs earlier that there's a huge chunk of AI queries dedicated to people trying to solve problems on their own.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that suggests a genuine DIY spirit and a preference for that modality. We've just been through an era where coaching was very in vogue. And you'll see people say like, well, it's much more smart. It's so much smarter to pay for a coach because I'm not wasting time figuring out all this low level details. I just go straight to the coach and they elevate me to the highest level. And maybe there's some truth to that. But the data is sort of revealing that people would rather not have the coach. People would rather have access to the information to do it themselves. If given the choice, people are going to choose to have access to the information to do it themselves over coaching by some great factor based on the data that we have.
Well, I will be trying this out for sure. So this sounds very fascinating.
I'm a self-coacher for sure. I would rather do anything than hire a coach, but maybe I'm a dummy.
I don't think anybody will call you that. Do you want to talk about the pixel perfect edits with AI prompts right quick on the stage?
I do want to talk about that because this is wrong. This is wrong. So the deal is the Rundown AI says that there is a plugin in Cursor. It's not wrong. I'll explain why it's funky. There's a Cursor, a plugin in Cursor. Cursor is an AI-driven IDE development environment where you can build your software in there. There's a plugin called StageWise, and StageWise lets you select anything in your app or website, describe what you'd like to change with just language, and then AI will do the rest. It changes your CSS. It will change the HTML if necessary. It can handle all of those different things. It can even update the JavaScript to handle like the behaviors of this thing. So the promise is that it makes no code more of a reality because it blends natural language inputs with multi-language, multimodal outputs. The outputs exist, some CSS, some HTML, some JavaScript, but all you did was say, hey, I need this to be different. Just sort of how project managers work with those teams anyway. They're like, hey, we need to change all this crap. And then the engineer does this, the designer does this, and it all happens. But that takes some time. Now, this says it's perfect for rapid design iteration and consistent styling across pages. But the problem that they don't mention, that to me is the problem for every real world person who's trying to do anything like this or hearing this, is that it doesn't mention switching costs. Well, gang, if you wanted to have a switching cost of changing your entire environment over to Cursor IDE and whatever that means for the implications of your website, like, is it all static now? Does it work on WordPress? Does it work on something like, how does this even work?
And
a lot of unanswered questions there. And those are the big money questions. Frankly, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars worth of questions. So without that part of the process being answered, this is useless to me. How many people now? It's great for the agencies and small teams that have already transferred all their stuff over and are fully reliant on Cursor for their final outputs. That's the only people for whom this advice is even remotely practical right now.
Well, don't you think it's more of a recruiting kind of way? So for more people to join because they do have the service that would be making it easy. So like it's a great feature for them. But I
think, you could argue that. I think what you're really going to have is a lot of people reading this thinking, oh, that's cool, playing with it, and then realizing that for practical purposes, the switching costs of them doing this are too high. If they have a project in the future that they can completely devote to the Cursor IDE. So what's the
takeaway here for you?
The takeaway for me is that we always have to meet people where they are. And so there's two ways this can go. We either try to get people from point A to point B, or we just make this very sort of overconfident assumption that people are just going to uproot everything and go to this new environment because of like a suggested rapid prototyping benefit. Like most people are going to analyze this and realize like that's not enough of a sale for me. Like you would have to see something incredibly potent, incredibly valuable to uproot your entire operation and switch it over to something like this. It's an arrogant claim to me. I don't think it really matches with the way the actual internet works. But it's good for these, couple of Silicon Valley nerds who are going to have a new startup. Yeah, it's great for them.
All right.
I don't even want to talk to those people.
Sounds good. Next segment is something that you sent my way was that Google just released quietly Learn Your Way, which is a personalized AI education. So Google launched Learn Your Way. It's an AI-powered tool that reconstructs educational content to match a learner's interests and cognitive style. So it goes beyond simple personalization. It transforms content formats. So mind maps for visual thinkers, conversational audio for auditory learners, clickable timelines, and adaptive quizzes based on performance gaps. So they tested this on 60 high school students in a controlled experiment, and I performed textbook users in both immediate recall and long-term retention, and boosted learner confidence across the board. So I actually went and tried it. It's already out there. Like it's like there, you can test and sample. And I really wish it existed when I was going to school, because there's certain topics that are just really hard to grasp if you're not naturally built for that. And so you can apply basketball analogy, soccer. I did soccer analogy, and there's all these ways to learn new things, knowing things you already know.
Yeah, through the lens that you already understand and are comfortable with.
Right. So this AI kind of changing. So what do you think about this, first of all?
Well, so you hear this thing in America, at least, and probably elsewhere, but like, oh, there's different learning styles. Like some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners. That's nonsense, guys. Everyone is visual. Everyone is visual primarily. That is our primary means of data about the world. It is augmented by things like smells and sounds and all that other crap. Sounds and smells can trigger memories and stuff like that. But your memories are visual. You see what you saw in your memory, in your mind's eye.
Okay.
Memory is visual. Okay. So photographic memory, they're just really, really visual people. Okay. So the power of this is that it can provide visuals for things where you don't normally get visuals. I'm thinking about subjects like US history, where it's a bunch of damn words and names and timelines and stuff like this. If you can have that, suddenly you have this visual that takes you through this thing, and you can see, like, I don't know, colonial people, and you see that timeline progress, and you've got like people in frontier type clothing going out west, riding in a Conestoga wagon. Like, you got a visual reference there that didn't exist in the textbooks. Suddenly I can recall and remember that information a lot better. I think about this. I'm super visual. My knowledge and retention of history subjects in school is near zero. It's horrible. I aced those classes. I don't remember a damn bit of it. None of it was visual. It was all like notes and crap like this. Like, I couldn't tell you Habsburg Dynasty. I remember them in Europe. Who knows where they even were? But if I had some sort of visual thing, I promise you I'd be remembering that stuff big time. So I just see that right away. I was like, oh my God, this is everything. If I can turn a word subject or an auditory subject, like notes from a teacher, like a lecture, if I can turn that into a visual that I can then recall and associate with it, I'm 10xing that right away. Well, and everyone else is going to be that way.
And that's why, like, you know how they I don't know about you, but like when I was going to school and I didn't understand something, like my dad would try to explain it to me in the way that I would understand. Like, he would use examples and things that, like, even when we talk about money, we're like, when they're counting, we're like, imagine it's money. Or like when they're doing math, we're like, imagine this is money. How would you do this? And then suddenly it's like, oh, wow. If I have this and that is what it equals to. So like having some kind of like comparison based on what works with your kid is a really good idea. And then in this case, it demonstrates already better retention, deeper engagement, increased confidence. And so totally. I am just thinking that, like what could this do to, well, I'm not even thinking about the teachers and all that stuff, but what can it do not just to school, but like any kind of adult learning, corporate training, technical documentation that no one reads, right? And like professional development that you go to, whatever. Like, what would that make us more excited to learn? I don't know.
The big kind of underlying thing here is we think about learning as like school time. And then like that's separate from the rest of our lives somehow, like not learning as much, which is crazy. You should be learning stuff all the time and applying. And, right. And the most concrete thing about learning, like if you're really going to know something and have like command of that knowledge, is if you feel that way about something, you've got a ton of associations around that knowledge. You have this core knowledge, and you also see how it connects to a lot of other stuff. You have a lot of associations. You have a strong connection for this knowledge. This system described here is a way to build associations that will strengthen your understanding of a thing. It is no surprise that the students surveyed exhibited greater confidence in the stuff that they had learned because they had learned something with greater associations. It's not just
I highly
having read
recommend.
a textbook.
I highly recommend going and checking it out. It was like really interesting and fascinating. And then I also another thing I kind of thought about it. It's not just the ed tech. Like this is a good blueprint of what AI native experiences look like when done right. So go and check it out because that is truly I don't know, a case of what the native experiences in AI like look like. So that's another reason to go and check it out. But
Well, if we tie that to the data about how people are using AI, like I think it was like 28 point something percent is like, tell me how to solve a problem.
yeah,
Well, the point of solving a problem, hopefully, is not just to get from A to B. It's to actually like leave that experience with a greater understanding of reality.
yeah.
Oh, I now know how to do this.
So the only thing they need to know about whatever it is that you want to learn is like, what is your interest? Is it a video game? Is it soccer? Is it basketball? Like, so whatever the kids' interests are, you layer that over the topic, and then it sort of gives you it rebuilds it with that analogy kind of in play.
I want to make a prediction. This, whatever is going on here, so like if this learning model is able to take something you know and puts this other thing it's trying to explain to you within that context, that is an association. That is an associative thinking sort of task. That suggests that as this improves, AI will be able to do more associative thinking. And as that improves, AI will be able to do more complex tasks that are really only the domain of humans for now. To me, that's the Turing test of the future. When can AI do associative tasks and piece together things that are not obviously connected? When can it create meaningful associations between things that are not obviously connected to create something new and more powerful?
Well, this is definitely a good attempt. We'll see what happens, but go check it out. We're gonna move very quickly through the next couple. I call it news segments. They're not actual like we're not gonna go deep into kind of how we usually do it, but I really think they're worth mentioning. Kind of what's happened this week. So we're gonna skim through this.
Let's do it. Boom,
First,
boom, boom.
it's what should we call it? The lightning round?
This is the lightning round of news in the AI.
Lightning round of news for this week that are shorter. So GPT-5 outperforms humans at the ICPC World Finals. Do you know what that is? What is
it's
ICPC?
the International Collegiate Programming Competition.
Okay.
And I alluded to this earlier. So here's what happened. OpenAI's GPT-5 model achieved a perfect 12 out of 12 score at the World Finals, beating all 139 top-tier university teams. Google Gemini's 2.5 also earned gold medal. They have classifications for your scoring with 10 out of 12 correct, and it solved a problem that none of the human teams got right. Here's the thing about this. A lot of people would read this and be like, well, AI is going to do all the programming. Wrong. I explained earlier, there's two modalities of programming. There is system architecture, which is not this, and there's specific problem solving, which is this. This competition and competitions like it, which I have limited exposure to, but I have some, they ask you to do like one real hard problem that involves various core parts of computing. So you'll have like a matrix of data, and you're supposed to perform some complex operation on it. You're going to have to involve things like recursion, things in computer science that are a little bit tougher to grasp. They always make it kind of like that. But no matter what those are, it's just like solving a really hard math problem. It is one procedure. Once you know the way to solve it, you can then anybody can go do this. So is that really that special? It's not. It's just a hard problem. AI is supposed to be better than us at those things already.
Well, and they're just beat.
I would have been disappointed if it didn't smash all the human teams, and in like much less time too.
Well, there you go. So the next one, right quick, is agentic commerce protocol. So Google is teaming up with PayPal, and they launched the Agent Payments Protocol, AP2. I thought you would be excited about this, but we'll see what happens. It allows AI agents to make purchases autonomously. Over 60 merchants and financial institutions are backing it, but no public consumer deployment timeline has been set yet. So what do you think about that and why it's important?
I'm not super excited about this because it's purchasing.
I think you will be excited. You're not excited.
I want people and businesses to be able to collect money online faster and easier. That's what I want. I don't care about anything else. Now, there is some power to this. If you I don't feel great about this at home. If I had a business that did a lot of consistent buying, I'd feel better about this probably. This is good for repeat buys. If you know for sure you're going to need something. Now, if you pair this with something that's like monitoring your household activities and they say, hey, we know you need toilet paper every 38 days. Okay, I'm paying attention. Order me my toilet paper. We know you need your NAC pills every
We
61
need
days.
groceries delivered every week. So that would be great.
Well, but how do we know what we need? Is he out of mustard or not? Will he be mad? Those are tough questions for AI to answer right now. But so I can see it in limited context. I'm not that excited about repeat buys, but
what do you think in terms of the trend? Like they're moving in that direction, and do you think it matters? It means anything?
To enable personless commerce is important. To enable that to happen end to end and get something like a solution, like something delivered to you, that is clearly important. To not have to involve people in that process is amazing.
Yeah. Next news item, which we talked about before, but it got reiterated again this week, is new usage reports show that ChatGPT excels in writing, ideation, research, while Claude dominates in task automation and enterprise-level workflows. 77% of Claude's enterprise API usage is for multi-step task delegation. So it signals a clear split how the tools are used. GPT is advisor, Claude is an agent. So this is kind of interesting that they are kind of separating themselves like that more and more. So any thoughts on that?
I'm starting to see ChatGPT as a woman and Claude as a man.
Oh my gosh, I did not see this coming. Okay, why?
No, I really am. But I actually kind of like that. I feel that way about it too. So whenever a task flows, workflows have come up, Claude sort of seems to be the centerpiece. And whenever we're talking about research or feeding large data sets and like getting something out of that, it seems to be GPT. And so I think that's fascinating. I hear more people talk about writing with GPT. I don't hear that much with Claude. I hear more development problems.
I haven't used Claude at all. So I am kind of like, maybe I should try
Claude's definitely my my MVP for the page motor architect AI.
Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, that was interesting. That separation is happening more and more.
GPT is an advisor and Claude is an agent.
Yes.
Maybe a useful framework.
There you go. And then right off the press, the news, I think that got released yesterday, is that ChatGPT just introduced their Pulse, and that was only rolled out to pro mobile users only. I have a business account, so I did not get it. But I did look at what it looks like. So what is Pulse?
I love your take on this. So paint the picture you painted for me.
Yeah, so it's a new feature that runs overnight to prepare a morning feed of personalized content. It uses your chat history, preferences, and connected apps, if you let it, to offer proactive suggestions and updates. Sam Altman calls it the most important shift yet. It goes from reactive chatbot to proactive assistant. Well, guess what? So I looked at how it looks like in real life because somebody posted bragging about how it looks like and all of that. And to me, it looked just like a feed on Instagram or, Facebook or, YouTube Shorts. It's another thing for you to scroll every day, which I kind of like my AI not to be that. So now they've introduced that piece. Again, I haven't tested it yet. That's just what it looks like. But it's another way to get your attention going there based on your interests, of course. But I think, what do you think about that? Because it's kind of, I don't know. It's a little weird.
I get that. But we talked earlier about how the new homepage of your internet, the means through which you explore the whole internet, is now your chat prompt.
Right.
If that's true, then it's going to have to borrow elements from social media feeds. Or it can't win if it doesn't, because they're so dopamine heavy.
And if ChatGPT knows you so well, because it literally knows all your chat history and everything, and it's going to show you all the things you think is interesting, like are they now competing with the social media platforms as well? Is that where they're heading? This is This
There's
is
a
their thing.
specific modality here that's got to be mentioned. Exploration on the internet used to be proactive. You had to search. You had to visit a blog. You had to click on a link in the sidebar. Social media started feeding you stuff. So it's that movie WALL-E. You're that fat guy strapped to the chair with the soda bottle and the screen's just flashing all this crap in front of you. When we switch to WALL-E mode, there is no going back. So people's expectation is that internet will bring them stuff that they did not have to actively seek for. Right now, the prompts don't do that. But they're going to have to.
Well,
So it's going to be a mixture of, hey, I can answer any question you have very specifically in a way that's going to work for you that you can use right now. Plus, here's that just, idiocracy billboard crap that you now can explore. This is your means for exploration.
How many users are on ChatGPT right now? Do you remember?
700 million?
Okay. So they go after Google search, audience. Now it looks like they're putting their hand into the social media honeypot, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I love it. I haven't used it yet, so I'm curious to hear what people are thinking. But to me, it just feels like more noise.
Well, I'm fascinated by this clear shift in responsibilities. Exploration used to be proactive. But now exploration is reactive because of feeds. Exploration is reactive. Problem solving and information gathering is proactive. That's the prompt bar. Problem solving and information gathering, prompt bar. Exploration is a feed. Those are the two modalities of internet now.
The way they're explaining it, though, it's like it's tied to your interest based on what you want. So it's going to be even more addictive because it is tied to what you want.
It'll be interesting to see what that looks like when it's tied to your queries, because X claims that they're really nailing down like what your interests are, and they kind of do get it. I mean, if I'm honest about my feed, but people always have these complaints like, oh, my feed seems to have gotten out of whack, or I'm getting all this political crap dumped on me all of a sudden that I don't care about, whatever it is, whatever the complaint is.
Well, the what's it called? Pulse is going to expire every night. So it gives you new things every day.
Yeah. You got to wake up with the doom
And
scroll.
I wonder what that means for advertisers. I wonder what that means for your, the GEO part where you're being discovered by, now that it's literally pulling information to present to users on your behalf, because that's your helper. Now it's looking for information at night to show you something new in the morning. So now you've got this little agent doing this research on your behalf. So now you're even more, the GEO it sounds like becoming even more important because it's no longer just what I want to search. It's what my bot wants to search for.
Right. Well, so X has however many users it has, but of those users, only like 10% are super engaged. So you can assume that 10% of the users on X are giving the machines a whole lot to go from in terms of their preferences and what they might want to see.
Right.
But 90% not really giving up very much. Whereas the 700 million ChatGPT users are giving a whole lot more information that's personal to them, that's personally relevant through their queries, through their interactions. So it's like, whoa, this is actually like amped up big time.
I wonder what people would feel once they see what's being reflected to them with that feedback that they're learning.
Some people are going to see some ugly pictures.
Oof. I can't wait to test it out. But once I saw what it looks like, I was like, oh God, another feed to scroll. That's probably going to be the most addictive of them all.
It's inevitable.
Yep, it's happening.
There's going to be a bunch of stupid code questions. We'll have to turn it off.
I hope this flash news part of a program was fun. But moving on to AI funding this week, as always, it was a blockbuster week. The most surprising part, so nearly 2.6 billion flowed into AI startups around the world. It's a third of all global venture funding. Again, went to AI.
Big funding week too.
The biggest surprise this week is Europe is definitely back. So they went from 0 in August to dominating this week, and they got more money than US did. So I guess vacations in
Mark
Europe
it down,
are
euros. It won't happen again.
a real thing. Well, we'll see.
I
What
know,
happens.
September they return. It's funny.
So UK-based Nscale raised $1.1 billion with a B to deliver cloud GPU supercomputing. Then Modular in US secured $250 million for its all-in-one AI developer platform.
Haven't even heard of this yet.
Nope.
Crazy.
I'm learning so many different companies. It's crazy. Canada with Cohere got 100 million, and that is towards enterprise grade AI language models. So I feel like this is a very infrastructure, maybe.
It's big play week. It's not niche application. It's not
Yeah.
vertical specific this week. It's larger.
Right. And then so that wasn't just infrastructure. There's Signal AI. I wonder if I have something to do with Signal. In London, pulled 164 million to turn global media and regulatory filings into real-time business intelligence. Interesting.
It's kind of what Moody's doing, but for separate
I'm
applications.
telling you, I am fascinated with this. And then there's AppZen that raised 180 million to automate financial operations with AI.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So Europe got the most, 52% of the funding. US 39, slow down. And then China had about 4%. But again, I don't trust the China things at all. So investors are going big on the backbone of AI today, compute power and platforms needed to run next gen models. And then there's smaller bets on agentic AI startups as well. I actually feel like I'm going to start researching those companies a little bit more, and maybe we can even get guests from some of those companies that
it would be nice. Like if you raised 100 million, I never heard of you. It would be nice to hear from that person.
Yeah,
Like,
that might be really fun. So what do you think about all this for this week?
I'm a little surprised to see a pullback from vertical specific applications, but got to also acknowledge how early it is in the game and how companies are still finding out the 95% 5% fallacy, 95% failure rate. That's still going on. That's going to continue into next year. A lot of money and energy still going to be spent on failing, basically. Just because we know that doesn't mean it's like already played out and it's over. That's still happening. And so therefore it makes sense that the most secure bet from the perspective of onlookers who want to invest is still the infrastructure play. Like we still need, so there's the, so we talk about the highways. The software that we build is the highways that AI can navigate and use for us. But those highways all need electricity. You have to be able to get the electricity out there so the highways can be built. That's the infrastructure. Like you need the plumbing, the electricity. That's where the bets still are in the plumbing and electricity. We haven't even talked about paving the roads or putting the developments alongside them yet. That's coming later. So, I'll be interested to see how long we continue to see these plays be biased on the infrastructure side until they switch over. At some point, there'll be like an inflection and it will change. But that's probably still a ways off.
Yeah. Well,
especially until we get edge as like a consumer product, it's going to continue to be like this, I think.
What do you think is the takeaway from today's episode to wrap this up?
Well, I think the AEO thing and understanding the distinction about like, so we got more clarity on the AEO GEO thing today than we had in previous episodes. You need to chunk your content in Q&A form. And then anything that's a larger post that's maybe for humans or an augmentation layer for AIs is going to put together your Q&A chunks. That's an important like mechanism there for understanding, okay, how do I actually do this? So that's a big takeaway. That is definitely the future. It's content that's going to be more chunked out than we would do for humans and shifting towards that and like acknowledging, okay, this is why we're doing this. That's huge. I guess from our first segment, we had the workflows. Then we got, what the data shows us, what the ChatGPT data shows us is that people do want to do it themselves. They want answers. Our job is to, from an information standpoint, our job is to provide clear answers.
Yep.
So really today's about answers. It's about answers. And also understanding that, it's specifics. Everywhere you look, it's specifics in AI, like specific outcomes, specific inputs into AI, specific usage within workflows. You don't have an AI that covers your entire workflow. You have a series of agents that stamp out the processes of your workflows, and then those things together is your actual workflow or your business initiative. So understanding how to deploy AI. It's not like AI for everything. It's AI here, 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 and here. And then it's a series of handoffs from one to the other to complete the larger task. Because almost everything we do in business is a compilation of tasks. It's not just one thing. So
what task can you delegate to AI, either on operations, on marketing side, on sales side, whatever that is? That's my big takeaway today, seeing how much time they're saving, right? The Moody company. And then my other takeaway as a business owner from this episode was playing with AEO and make sure that I am going to start, my plan of what I need to implement to make sure that I am not going to be left in the dust and show up in those answers when my users are looking for what we have to offer. And maybe even the candidate side too. That's another thing I didn't think about is
yeah, I was thinking about that because you've got two faces.
Right. I do have candidates who are looking for sales jobs, and I do have companies that are looking for sales candidates. So I want to make sure I optimize now for both. So this was a very thought-provoking segment for me. And then the other side is what the native AI product looks like, and then going to look at the Google Learn thing. So just kind of figure that out. Fascinating topic. And then
you can use, maybe you have an action item. You can use the segment we did. I think it was episode 4. I'm not 100% on this, but where we talked about that guy who had built that business for the Carolina diesel repair.
Yes, boring marketer, whatever.
So that playbook applied to this chunked information for your people, and then create the pages that way, I think is a pretty cool combination. You're going to use AI to generate the exact content.
Okay, well, you got to hurry up and get the page more out there so I can make it all easy. And
you can use it.
Well,
you're in the beta.
I know. I got to get my side over to that first. Sounds. Don't I? Yes, I do. I do have to transition.
Before we leave, let's do these things. You're watching this on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then in the notes, in the description, you're going to see a link to the PageMotor email list. You need to get on that. That's the PageMotor Plus Practical AI email list. We'll give you updates about this show. We give you exact tips that you can deploy for your business. This is exactly how you're going to navigate the AI landscape. This is information you can use. So get on the list, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. And you don't want to miss these shows. And give us a like, because I like when you like us.
And in the comments, tell us what was your takeaway. I'm always, because I put a lot of effort into this, and I learned a lot from me personally. So I always love to hear what you think, because it's never boring. Never boring.
And we love your questions too. Bring your questions as well.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next Friday.
I'm clicking end. It's over.